One of the statements that people make on a regular basis when I'm working with them one-on-one is that oftentimes they'll sit in the office and say, you know what, life just isn't fair. This isn't supposed to be happening. My child shouldn't have this illness. My partner shouldn't have had this affair. Why am I struggling with this addiction? Why did I lose my home? How come I can't make the money I made 10 years ago? Why do I have the genetics I have and the struggle with my weight is consistent? Life is not fair. And so we'll sort of wrap our brain around that concept that life isn't fair. And I thought it would be appropriate to do a video on this topic, and I'm going to give you the answer. Life is not fair. That's the truth. Hi, I'm David Essel. One of the things that I've learned in my spiritual studies that has been an amazing, immense help to me when I was struggling immensely with a deep addiction that had me pinned to the ground, and going through divorce that had me pinned to the ground, and financial challenges that had me pinned to the ground, was some of the key concepts of Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths is where I've gained a lot of help in this, and that, and it basically, the Buddha, when he came out with a statement, he said, life is suffering. That's the noble truth number one. Life is suffering. So when you think about that concept that life isn't fair, you're right. It isn't fair. It never has been, and for many of us it never will be fair. And the quicker that we come to accept this truth that life is not fair, we can move forward in life. Isn't that interesting? It's like the quicker that you see this addiction isn't fair, my genetics is not fair, the fact that I was robbed, the fact that I was beaten or raped, the fact that I lost my job, I'm homeless, or whatever it might be. I'm single and I really want to be in a relationship. I've always wanted children and I'll never have children. Life isn't fair. That's a correct statement. And so how do we move past that statement that keeps us shackled, that keeps us like in cement boots in life, as we understand and accept it as a truth that it is. Life isn't fair. When we do accept that as true, when we do accept it as a way that we need to get to the bottom and the core of motivation and personal achievement, we understand life isn't fair, and we move forward. And we move forward. The second noble truth that Buddha taught was that our suffering is caused by our desire that life, a person, or a thing be different than it is. Isn't that powerful? It's like, there's the answer right there. Number one, noble truth number one, life is suffering. Number two is that our suffering is caused by our desire that life, a person, or a thing be different. Our suffering is caused by our addiction, our wishing, our wanting that life be different. Our suffering is caused by our craving for a different type of life. And what's the answer to all this? The answer to all this, ladies and gentlemen, is to surrender to the truth that life is not fair. Is to surrender to the truth that some people are taken from this plane much quicker than we would want them to. Is to surrender to the truth that because life isn't fair and I have this addiction, in order for me to get to the next level of alcoholism or smoking or drug addiction or a food addiction or a sex addiction or a spending addiction, is I must surrender to the truth that life isn't fair. I'm in this situation now. What will I do? And you can talk about this in any circumstance whatsoever. Life is not fair. It's true. It always has been true. It always will be true. That life is not fair. Most people, even those that seem to really have it all together, financially and relationship and spirituality and everything that you can imagine, are suffering to this day in some way whatsoever. In some way they are suffering. And yet those individuals that have achieved the greatest personal peace, inner peace, peace within themselves, have come to the understanding of this very important fact, that life isn't fair. And once we understand that life isn't fair, then we know the second point that we have to go after is, what do I do about my current situation? Who do I ask for help? How do I surrender to the situation that I'm currently in right now? How do I bring myself to the reality that life isn't fair and that's okay? How do I bring myself to the reality that life isn't fair and that's the way life is? How do I bring myself to the reality that where I am right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and surrendering to the fact that life isn't fair isn't giving up. It's actually coming to the conclusion that this is the way it is. I need to let go of my expectations of it being different than it is today, my craving that it's different than it is today, my desire that it should be different than it is today, and deal with what I have at hand. if I can help you with this concept, this is so liberating. This is so amazingly liberating to come to this understanding, this conclusion, and to move forward. Contact me via talkdavid.com. I understand life isn't fair. And for the last 25 years, I have devoted to my life to helping people who are in situations that aren't fair, in the part of their life that is not good, fun, enjoyable, and helping them to get to the other side. And there's tons of rivers and boats, there's all kinds of rafts, there's all kinds of vehicles that we can use to get to the other side, where we understand that life isn't fair and we keep moving forward anyway. Contact me at talkdavid.com. If you know anyone that's stuck, please share this video with them. Life isn't fair. We surrender to that concept, and then we put into action steps to help us come to that place of peace, even when life isn't fair. And don't forget to sign up at YouTube under Super Slowdown so every video we do gets directly sent to you, okay? I'm wishing you a blessed day filled with inner peace. I'm David Essel.